Hello and welcome back to the next installment of my mapping series. So this is actually the very next day after I filmed the first video, and it's in the morning. And I have had a night to sleep over it, and I think the map's basically too small, because I scaled it down from 5 times 5 kilometer into a 1 times 1 kilometer map, and considering the, considering the detailed information I have, that's kind of a shame to have the map be that scaled in that case. So I'm going with a 2 times 2 kilometer map, which is still scaled down, but it will hopefully allow me to capture some more of this kind of detail here. So anyway, the only thing I did, and I did that off camera, is I went into the source file and scaled that up to 4096 times 4096 for a 2 times 2 kilometer map. And then I deleted the map that I made yesterday and remade it bigger and put the Hemi map into there, and here we go. It's now a bigger map. Just to give you an idea, I mean the Heightmap still isn't in here, but just to give you an idea, let's start here roughly in the Russian main base. And wait 1 second. Now I got turned around, right? No, it was fine. Start here in the, yeah, turns you around, I think. Yeah, without hills, it's actually pretty hard to to orient yourself on a map, because it's just flat. But if you look at it, if you look at how far it is now from the Russian main base, just gonna run over there into the first line. It's now a lot farther away, and it will be a more realistic and unscaled looking map, even though obviously it is scaled. You just can't get the distances correct on an FH2 map when you're talking about the Russian front. It's just a bit too much. But yeah, as you can see, pretty far away. Fly the rest, and this would be the first line of resistance. So yeah, anyway, what's the next step now? I would say we want to add the Heightmap so we can orient ourselves a bit better, and then we will also do a basic texturing job. So let's close the editor, because who needs it? We already have our Heightmap in here, well, a rough one. Let's get rid of all of that shit, and here we have the Heightmap. And we will try to get this Heightmap into the editor. How do we do that? Well, for that we need to export it first. Let's call it Heightmap primary. I won't do secondary terrain because I don't plan on having planes. Okay, we don't need to save this because we just made some layers invisible. So then we're gonna open the Heightmap primary again. Alright, so I changed it to 1052 to 1052 in order to 1020. Okay, I changed the map size to 2 times 2 kilometer, so that means I have to change the Heightmap to 1025 times 1025. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. That sounds correct. You always have to do the 1024, but 1025 for the Heightmap, always plus 1 pixel. Scale it, okay. So next up, what we have to do, which I always forget, is to switch the Heightmap or to mirror the Heightmap horizontally, because that's how Battlefield 2 likes its Heightmaps. And with the new layout or the new icons on the latest version of GIMP, I can never find where that option is. One sec. Where is the mirroring option? No, that's not it. I wish I knew how to get back the old icons. One sec. Nah, that's not it. Am I blind? I'm looking right at it, aren't I? Ah, here we go. Mirror. And of course we will do a vertical mirror like this. Boom. So, save it. Now, I've never been able to find a proper .raw plugin for GIMP. So for this we will need Photoshop. Yeah, don't need that. So we will open this with, why is Photoshop not in here? One sec. Where is it? Okay, where did I save Photoshop? I know I have Photoshop CS2 in here. Wait, or do I? Oh, yes I have. Here we go. Photoshop. And I'm pretty sure I already did that on this new computer, or otherwise I might not have the plugin installed. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, no, who cares? Don't need an update for this. Okay, so let's just... Okay, what do we have to do first? As I said before, I don't do this part of mapping all that much, so I always have to kind of see. But first of all, we need to set the whole picture to grayscale. Yep. And then we have to, I think, 16-bit. Okay. And then it should work. Then we have to save as Heightmap primary is correct, and then .raw. Right, oh, Photoshop raw, correct. No, we don't need a copy of it. Heightmap primary .raw for mask, okay. Save. And this is important, IBM PC. Pretty sure I'm still forgetting something, but we will see if it works out. Yeah, I know, okay. We saved that now as a .raw file, and let's double check if we did it correctly. That is the wrong folder. Here we go, Heightmap primary, 2 megabytes. Let's look at a 2x2 kilometer map that I made, Uglidorf, how big the Heightmap is there, if I did it right. Yeah, 2000, okay, should be correct. As I said, there's a bit of trial and error involved in this step because I just lack the what's it called, the routine in here. But this should be fairly correct now. Let's take the Heightmap primary, copy it over into our map folder. Overwrite the automatically generated flat ones. These ones we can theoretically delete because I don't necessarily want... Yeah, let's just get rid of them. We can always remake them if we need them and decide to put planes on there for some reason. Should still work. No, yes, one sec. Alright. Okay, yeah, you know what, let's just switch this off because it's just loading. Alrighty. So, Operation Mars, let's load it and let's see if it works. It didn't. So, what could be the problem here now? We will see. Alright, turns out you can't just delete this, so learn something new. Anyway, what we will do next is, one second, go back to the Heightmap primary and edit it a little bit before we really put it into the editor, because for now it's a bit too dark as well. I kind of forgot about doing that, even though I forgot about it every time. So what we will do is brightness and contrast. We will make it like, we will increase the contrast, but we will also make it overall more... Okay, that's a bit much contrast. This is a bit trial and error-y again, but generally speaking you need to make it a bit more high contrast in order to make the hills and so on pop. Don't know if this will even show up properly on the you know, on the YouTube after they run their stupid what's it called, after they compress it, but we will see. Anyway, so we will do the same thing here. We overwrite the old PNG file, don't need that. Then we will open this in Photoshop. Do this again. Don't want to update this, fuck you. And okay, need to Again, grayscale, yep. Then you need to put it into 16-bit. And then raw. Overwrite the old one. And you know what? I think I will run, yeah, zoomed in a bit. Yeah, this is not great yet. I think I will run a Gaussian smoothing filter over it as well. Otherwise it would probably look weird. How does that work in Photoshop? Smoothing filter, Gaussian, okay. 15 is okay, 15 pixels. And now it's a bit smoothed out, I hope. Okay, again, Heightmap primary, raw. Yes, IBM PC, okay. And that should be correct, I hope. No, that's the wrong file. This is a new one. And we're going to put it into the map folder. Here we go. And we're going to load up the map. And it's loaded. Looks pretty flat, right? But if we look at it, the terrain height is set to 163, that's the standard one. Let's just put it to 300 and keep changing it until we like it. Okay, there's still this crap here around. I think that's caused by the secondary terrain, so I will have to take a look at that later. Okay, this is still a bit... let's put it a bit higher. Put it to 500 terrain height. Okay, now we can actually see some hills and so on. Heightmap mode on, and let's see. And you can already see this is the last village and the hill that is behind it, where the stucks were. So the terrain does line up. These villages here are kind of on a ridge, like in reality as well. Here's the Russian main base. Yeah. And between the two villages where the river is, you can see there's a dip in the ground. So Heightmap lines up nicely. That being said, it's still, it could be a bit more pronounced. It's kind of hard to tell without objects or without running around. Let's get into here to see how the terrain looks. I mean, I don't want mountains here. It's not a mountainous area, but the terrain needs to be like you need to see where a hill is and where not, and so on. Let's go over here where one of the German objectives is. Yeah, I need to find a way to get rid of those secondary terrain walls around it. Okay. I mean, it looks kind of good. I will save it for now. Yeah, terrain. Okay. Then I will try to get rid of that hill around it, and maybe also change the height map again with a bit more contrast. Although this hill already looks kind of nice. Let's see how steep it is. It can sometimes be hard to judge just from flying around, but yeah, this is actually a pretty substantial hill up here. Walking up. And this is the village area where trenches will be, and then there will be trenches all the way up the hill as well. Might actually put or change around the flags a bit as well. But yeah, this is actually a fairly substantial and cool looking hill. So yeah, maybe 500 is enough. View distance and stuff like that we can worry about later. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what I can do about the secondary terrain. I will probably just make those completely black, so it dips down below the ground here, so to speak. And that should hopefully fix this. Otherwise I will have to make the overall height map a bit brighter, so it's not an issue anymore. It's not an issue here though. I don't know what exactly causes this. I will see if I can fix it. 1 second. Okay, back in Photoshop, this is the automatically generated secondary terrain, the D1 secondary terrain, and I would just, to be honest, I would just fill this with completely black for now. Okay. Overwrite all the rest with the same file, and then we will see if that fixes those weird walls around the map. If that doesn't work, I will have to brighten the primary height map, which isn't a big deal. Probably need some more contrast anyway. The question is, where in the hell do they have the fill tool here in Photoshop? In GIMP I would already have been done with this, but can you just fill out? That's something else. This is just great. Why can't they just make a raw plugin for fucking GIMP and be done with it? Maybe I can just make it darker here somewhere. It's all, I mean, it needs to be... Am I the only one who thinks that making just something completely dark should be a question of 2 clicks? I mean... Ha! Okay, done. Never mind. So, then let's simply... Where am I? Let's simply override all that bullshit. Raw, here we go. So, this one first. Yep, override it. Okay. Okay, that should work, in my opinion. Then... the same, and I think from here on out I will probably just speed it up. Well, what do you know? That actually solved that issue. So I think I might just use that height map that I have right now. Actually, you know what, let's compare to the real deal in Google Earth first, just to make sure that we get the approximate height of everything. I mean, obviously it's scaled, but it should give you roughly the correct idea. So, yeah, okay. Normally I actually plan a lot more in Google Earth, it's just that everything's gone. It's all destroyed. So, we're here in this area, and now this does look like a fairly substantial hill in real life, at least a noticeable one. This is where the Russian main base will be. As you can see, the areas right now that I haven't marked as forest still had vegetation, or still has vegetation in it, so, but don't worry about that, I did notice that. And then over here, yeah, here's that big hill that's a bit bigger. Still, I probably want a tad higher hill here. So we will go back to Heightmap mode. So yeah, we will probably increase terrain height a little bit. Like this. And I think, yeah, now it's probably okay. Yep. We have the forest here, and then up here the big hill. Alrighty. I think that concludes the rough height map part of this. I can already see put a bunch of KV1s and T-34s here. Another one here. And then you can attack towards the drums. Okay. That's the height map part. Now what we will do is, first of all, save. But then what we will do is add a rough kind of texture path over it. In regards to texturing, as you might know, every Battlefield 2 map has 6 slots for different detail textures. So it's kind of limited in that way. So usually my approach is the first 3 of those slots are for big general or for the big general kind of textures, which I try to, as much as possible, although not 100%, but as much as possible, I try to somehow generate those automatically. And then the last 3 textures or texture slots are for detail stuff, like actual detail textures, which I will paint by hand. So you should very early, like, at this stage, you should know what kind of look you want for your map and which textures you want, so you can plan ahead. So, what do I want for Operation Mars? Well, first of all, snow. The first texture will be just a standard undisturbed snow texture, which will cover most of the map, because it was in the winter. The second texture will be a rough snow kind of texture, namely like a snow texture that has vegetation sticking through it, which I will use for visual interest around forests as well, and to portray areas where maybe the snow hasn't accumulated quite as much, which will also have overgrowth and undergrowth in there, so people can sneak through and the map is not completely open. Then lastly, lastly for the first 3, the third one, I want a kind of grass texture for forests, similar in look to the forested areas I made on Motovsky Bay, where you have kind of this yellow dead grass sticking through the snow cover. I think that looks pretty cool. So these are the 3 textures we're going to roughly do now. The last 3 will be, as I said, for detail, and I want to have the following. Number 1, a kind of rough snow area that looks like disturbed snow, which I will paint around roads, so it looks like they pushed snow away to create the road. This will also be done by editing the Heightmap, but more on that later. The second one of the detail textures will be the Saint Veit footprints texture, which I will place around a certain German emplacements or in areas where there might be a lot of foot traffic, to mix it up a bit there. And then the last one will be a mud texture, maybe including an alpha part, so it reflects the end map, so it looks wet. And this I will use in areas that are very heavily used, where lots of Germans maybe would have come through in their defensive positions, and so there would be mud and no snow. I don't necessarily want it to look like it has really recently snowed, like for example in Appeldorf. Instead I want it to look like the snow has been lying for a bit. And also I will use those for shell craters, because obviously the Russians opened up with a preparatory bombardment, and for that I need the mud as well. So those will be my 6 textures. So let's see how we achieve this. And we are now in World Machine. And I'm using the setup I already used for Motovsky Bay, which was the first time I actually used this program. Just a quick thing about that. Usually in the past I did most of the initial texturing job in GIMP, and much of it I will do for this one as well. For Motovsky Bay, due to the complexity of the terrain, that was not possible. Because of that, I instead opted to use World Machine. And I will do here again. I don't want to do an in-depth, what's it called, an in-depth tutorial on World Machine, because it's a lot of trial and error for me as well. But just show you the basics. So what I have done now is put our terrain. I loaded the Heightmap from Operation Mars into here, and I think I can look at it in 3D Explorer view. Yep, here we have it. It's pretty low, what's it called, quality, of course. Actually, I'm an idiot. because what I did is I actually loaded the unsmoothed, unedited one. 1 second. Alright, that's a bit better. Here you can see the Heightmap. Oops. You can see it's smoothed out now, basically a bit more detailed. You have the big hill over here, the river area that's a bit more low-lying. Nifty. So let's go back to here. So as the file input, next we will run an erosion filter on it, which will change it a little bit. We will edit the actual, we don't want to edit the height map with this, by the way. We will do that differently later, but let's see the erosion filter, how is it set up. So, I have no idea what any of this means, but we can try around with it a bit. The point is that from the erosion filter we get where map, we get a flow map, and this flow map is interesting to us because that's basically that shows you how the sediment flows, you know, down hills and stuff like that, and it gives you these streaks of sediments. If you look at, we put it through a height output and then through a colorizer. If you view the output here, you can see here are hills or cliffs, and here you can see in white, because I put the colorizer to height, you can see them, or you can see these, what's it called, these streaks, or you know, where the water would flow down and carry earth and stuff with it, right? So this actually also marks where our little creeks and rivers are. So we will take this, and this will be where our rough snow texture with the vegetation is, because this is where maybe snow got carried away a bit, or where not as much snow accumulated, because there would be a dip in the terrain, right? That's at least my logic here. So we have a bitmap output, we will get a bitmap out of it. Correct. We will call that not testcolor.png. We will call that, what's a nice name? Erosion. Specify output file into operation math. Yep. Okay. Oh no, wait, that's the wrong folder. 1 second. I don't want to put that directly into the levels folder. I want to put that into my projects folder. 1 sec. Math, erosion. Yep, that's where it's going to be. PNG. Yep. And write output to disk. Yeah, I think this is correct. Yeah, okay. So now it's building the world and putting out my file written successfully. I like to hear that. Okay. So that's that. What I also kind of want to do, and I will have to try around a bit more with that, but what I also kind of want to do is get another bitmap output to put under my forest for the, you know, the grass. Flow map, primary output. That is then put through coast erosion, and then you get a height output. Okay. Let's see, what kind of height output do I get from that? Okay, that's just that. Okay. Let's see if we can put a bitmap output here. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm not... Maybe I can just pull this one or connect this one over. Nah, that's actually not possible. 1 second. Okay, yeah, what we're gonna do, take the height field output, the primary output, and put it into here. Let's see what happens then. No, not alpha. Into the RGB output, so we get a nice... no, I did it wrong. 1 second. So, primary output. Why can't I put that into the... I probably need to put it through a colorizer first, right? Yeah, okay. And then RGB output. Correct. So let's view the output, and that's not very helpful. I probably need to put it through some kind of noise filter first for my purposes. Alright, so this is what I did. Normal erosion filter, then I added basic noise here, then I selected the roughness, and the roughness was then colorized, and this will be the output. 1 second, let's view it. So I will get this wonky noise filter, and I will show you what I will try to do with that next. But first of all, of course, we need to get the correct bitmap output. And we will call that forest. Mass, that is correct. Write output to disk. Yeah, build the stupid world. Here we go. File written successfully. Okay. Let's close that. I won't even bother with saving this. Nah, fuck it. Okay. Let's look at it. Not world machine. Where was I? Here we go. No, here we not. Here we don't go. Here we go. So here we got the forest file. We will load that up. Okay. And we will load up the erosion file. Oh, that actually looks a bit more wonky than I had anticipated. Okay. Interesting. That is a bit more than I had thought. Well, we will see what we can do with it though. Anyway, and then we will put up the exported image. Here we go. And what we will do now is we need the 3 RGB channels which tell the editor where everything goes. So I decided to mess a bit more with the erosion function, so now I got this here. Before we import all of this, as far as I know, I still have to switch this horizontally because Battlefield 2, or no, vertically actually. So let's switch it around and then import this into the source file. First one this. And we are just gonna put that in here, somewhere in the background. Call this forest basic. Alright, this stuff I don't need right now. Then increase the size of this to 4096 times 4096. Scale that shit. And put it in here. Note that all this World Machine stuff, World Machine is relatively expensive and I don't know how powerful the demo version is. So if you don't want to spend that money, don't do it, and instead just use GIMP, you know. The main reason I'm using this now is also because I want to try out the capabilities of it and what I can achieve with it, basically. Okay, so we have the forest basic in here, then I already switched this, right? Yeah, you can see the main outline of the river here. Put the erosion map in here. New layer, erosion basic. Here we go. And do the same thing here again. Wonder if there's an automatic way to get this to line up, but just gonna do it by hand because I don't know how. There must be some kind of way to do this more easily. Okay, is this lined up now? This doesn't seem to be completely lined up. I hate this part. No, it seems to be fine. And then this one. I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. Okay. Alright, so we have these two things in here. So what do we use them for? To make our basic coverage of texture. And for that, you can actually put this back on because who cares? Let's do all the RGBs because for the detail texture, you just like it reads the RGB, so everything that is green on here will have one texture, everything that's blue will have another. And so we will make detail blue here, and then we will copy that for detail green. Ah, fuck you. Detail green. Here we go. So just we need to fill this with green now. Of course, that's 00 FF00. Here we go. Now that's a nice green. And then we will also make the detail red. Let's at first make a new layer. So, let's just say green will be our normal snow. So we will do that as the basic texture, and that will always be there. We won't even edit that because snow is the base. So blue will be the erosion, or rather the rough snow. So let's do a little trick here. To both of them add a layer mask that is just completely black, so you can't see them. And for this one, layer mask that is completely white in case we do want to fuck with it later. Okay, so what we will do now is take the erosion basic and copy it. So I copied that, Ctrl C. Then we put it into the layer mask of detail blue, and boom, here we go. So you could theoretically leave it like that, but I want to do the following. Let's look at this. I usually try to keep these basic textures as simple as possible, and I don't want all this crap here. So instead what I will do is, really cheaply, I will posterize the layer mask. How does that work is the question. Posterize, okay, here we go. Let's be real cheap about it, do it to 2. And now we have these lines here of, actually that's a bit too cheap. Let's do it a bit differently. We'll posterize it after all, but I want a few more lines. Yeah, let's do it with 3 at first. But then, of course, like this, we will select this gray area here automatically and fill it with white, and that should give us, yeah, that should look nice, I hope. I've never done this before, to be honest. This is kind of an experiment, and I have no idea yet how it will look in game, but sometimes you just have to experiment a bit. But yeah, should be perfect now. Or are there still imperfections around it? It's kind of hard to tell, might be. Let's do it maybe the other way around with this. And fill it with complete black. And then, yep, that should be it. Okay, so let's don't show the layer mask anymore, don't need to see that, and this is then the final product for the erosion. Okay, let's save it. The file is pretty big, so it might crash from time to time, so it's best to play it safe, save it. So the next one will be for the forest. So we will do the same thing here, forest basic. Here a bit more editing will be in order for obvious reasons. Detail red, select the layer mask, copy it in there. Oh yeah. And Ebene verankern, so you put it into the layer mask. Okay, never mind. And this will be for our forest. Now obviously there's red everywhere now, so we will fuck a bit with the layer mask here. Now the first thing we will need to do here is also posterize it. Again, this I've never done in this way. This is basically me experimenting a little bit. I'm not 100% sure this will look great later, but yeah. I see the problem here. Let's do something really weird and invert that. Yep, let's invert it. The problem is the contrast is a problem, I think. Let's fuck with the contrast a bit. Make it a bit brighter. Yeah, now we're cooking with water. Because what I want is this kind of naturalistic looking, these kind of naturalistic looking structures here. Okay, now posterize it. Yeah, this I think we can use. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that gives us a nice ground cover under our trees. Now the problem we're having, of course, is it's everywhere and not only where the trees is. So now it gets a bit tricky. But, oh, I just had a brainwave. One sec. Let's get rid of all of that. And, okay, yeah. What we're going to do is we're going to select the, we're going to go back to our plan because I already roughly put in the positions of the forest. So what we will do now is select the layer, the alpha layer of our forest plan here. Select by color into the black parts of that, so that one we will select the black part where there's no forest, copy that shit, go back into detail red here, copy the black part into here, and now everything that isn't forest doesn't have the red detail texture in it. And we put that down, done. Easy and rough texture job. So everywhere there's forest, there will be these areas now that will have grass in there. And that's it. Put the rest in here. So the only thing left to do now is make sure... okay. Yeah, make sure... Of course we need to get rid of that border, and we need to make sure that the rest is really just white and black. Second. If we fill that with black now, that should have done it, yeah. Okay. I think that would look pretty good. Yeah. And now what we will do is take this basic detail texture and export it. And obviously we will call it export here. Now it's exported image _1, I think is what you need to call it, right? Yeah, I think so. Size should be correct. Okay, and then export that shit. So, what we'll do next is do our basic color texture for the first 3 ones, so it doesn't look too weird in the editor. So in order to do that, basically what we're going to do, and copy this first, call it, why can't I, okay, never mind, call this color snow. So what color do we want our snow to be? I would say, I mean obviously this is just a rough paint job, so it looks decent in the editor and we can orient ourselves. So just fill it with that. Okay, so that's the color snow. We will make this look good later. For now this is enough. Then what was that? Okay, yeah. We will call this one color erosion. And again, color erosion. And so this would be roughly the same color as the snow, but I will actually fill this with something that pops out so I can easily see those areas in the editor and orient myself. So I'm just gonna make those pink for now. We can, again, gonna make it look better later. Then edit. By now you should know how this works. We get this from detail blue, put it in here, and here we have our erosion, Ebene verankern, done. Then next up we need the forests. Color forest. And again, color forest. Put that in here. This I will already make look roughly decent, like because I want a dead grass kind of texture in the forest. So fill it with that. Add this. Add the detail red alpha channel into there. Done. Okay. So save the overall file, and this we will save as exported image, just exported image. Here, export that. Why is there already one? Oh yeah, that's what we made the ground hemi out of. We don't need that anymore, we can override it. Okay. And once that is done, what we will do next is just completely black one. Black. What the hell? Why does it do that? What am I doing wrong there? Black. Zero, zero, zero. Fill it with that. And we will put that out as exported image _2 for the, we will fill that by hand later, but for now we will put it like this, and after that we can actually put that right in the background because we will probably never use it again. Alright, save it, and that is set. Now let's try to get that into the map. So, how do we do this? First of all, these two will be copied over into, and now it gets complicated. So this is my SVN copy, I don't use that for that. Instead, let's rename that, go into this. This is like an outdated version of FH2 that I use only for texturing, and put it into DuclaPath. I deleted most of these of the maps out of there. For reasons that I forgot. Oh yeah, right, because sometimes it crashes the program we are going to use. It's a long story. It's a bit of a hacky solution, but that's how I do it. We put it into the editor here, into the detail maps, and as you can see there's already detail maps in there from Motowski Bay. A bit more complex than what we're doing here, but okay. So, detail maps, and then we will put the other one into the color maps. Where was I? Right, color maps. That's the exported image here. Put it into the color maps. So, that is that. What we need then is a nifty little tool called the BF2 Mod Toolkit. We will start the BF2 Mod Toolkit somehow. Here we go. Yes, you are allowed to start it. Then we're gonna validate our mod. And this is where it usually crashes if you have too many unpacked maps into there. Didn't crash, didn't crash. Nice, good start. I put it in DuclaPath, right? Yeah, okay, DuclaPath. So, and then detail maps and color maps need to be processed and they need to be imported. This doesn't work because you have to set the NC convert file path every time, even though it's always the same, and the NVDXT file path every day. Then you have to click on the map again for some reason, and then it works. Then, okay, little warning here to epileptics. This might look weird. Yeah. Yep, import, done. Importing color maps. Okay, now it starts flashing and doing shit. This will take a short while, a few seconds. Color maps first. Then detail maps. Okay. Any second now? The magic of mapping. Okay, now we'll close this nifty little program. Go back to here to DuclaPath. We will copy over color maps and detail maps. No, first what we will do is rename this again. FH2 Map. FH2 SVN. Okay, back to DuclaPath. Editor. Copy over these color maps and detail maps. Then put it into the map we're actually editing over here. Operation math. Editor. Yes, override that shit. And let's hope that worked. For that we will open the editor. Again, I will cut out the loading process and we'll see each other again on the map. Alright, and we are in game. And here we go. Here's our forested areas. Here's our we will see how cool this ends up actually looking. But so far it has its moments. Alright. So the first thing you need to do in this after doing this is go to terrain editor and resave everything. Color texture, blah blah blah, detail texture, why not? Terrain 2, why not? Just to be safe, because otherwise you will overwrite it the next time you start the editor, and that of course has never happened to me, but yeah, it could totally happen to me. Yep, still saving. Saving terrain always takes a while. Still saving. Maybe I should have sped this up. You know, this is why I usually listen to music while I do this. But then I would get problems with the capitalistic copyright kraken. Okay, here we go. Should have saved, and that also means that if I go to grid with texture mode, you can actually see the color texture changes that we've made. And yeah, so one thing I want to try out, let's go to Heightmap mode. Does this line up with the forested areas? Yep, perfectly actually. Okay. Alright, where are we here? I'm just checking out where these automatically generated texture variants are. Oh, that's nice. So this we can use then to make vegetation here. and it gives the Russians some cover when they're advancing, so that's all pretty nifty. Quite happy with how this turned out. Yeah, yep, this is gonna be cool. Okay, so what is the next step? The next step, to be honest, let's think about it, is probably setting the actual textures here. Sometimes the editor crashes when you do that, I don't know why. And one thing I always forget is which color is which texture layer, so I will have to try around here a bit as well. Right now it's just looking like this. Okay, let's see, layer 1, let's make layer 1 snow for now, and then see which one is actually affected. I will maybe make at least some custom textures later, but for now I will use some generic snow texture here from the list. Garmisch snow. No idea what 1,500. I like to use the bigger textures when I make them, like the Oglidov one that I make is usually 1024 times 1024, but for now that's good enough. And okay, so that went into this. So this first layer here is the rough snow. Now that we know that, we can already set it to something that will look like that. Here this frozen snow, also pretty small, but yeah, this is close to what I want in there. So let's put that in there for now. Kind of, okay. Then layer 2 is probably the actual snow layer around here. Again, and for that we will use the Garmisch snow. Yep. And then the last one, by process of elimination, is the frozen grass texture. Bastonio frozen grass, perfect, boom. Okay, so what we can already set now is, just check it out, yep, works. Okay, map's basically done. No, but in all seriousness, what this means is that we can now already set the low detail texture, not the one from Mutovsky, and then I set that now. Then I can set low detail type, I think 1, or is that rock? Oh, well, we will see when I generate it. Set it to low detail type 1, and this makes the whole thing look a bit less annoying. Generated low detail map, yep, okay. So now you have the low detail texture. Obviously that's grass, so we will have to change that later, but this already makes this look a bit less annoying. That being said, most of the time when you're editing a map you will go in grid with texture mode. It's just the easiest way to set this stuff. Alright, so with that being set up, while we are at it, we can already set the material stuff as well. So we will set this one to snow, obviously, snow, and we will set the snow to snow. So hard, this mapping stuff. And then the frozen grass one we will set, I guess, to grass. Okay. And we will save everything in case anything crashes. Alright. Nifty stuff. So let's see. Let's go to the Russian main base and go into soldier mode. Okay, still of course looks kind of shit, but it always turns you around when you do that. But at least it's not completely flat now. And you can already see where vegetation will be, where the forests will be over there. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting mapping project here. I like to run around on the map even though it's not finished yet, and even though you can't see Dick right now. So yeah, this is where you would advance along. One thing I want to check out. Okay, no, that's next to this road here, right? Yeah, okay, good. Obviously the road is now, because we made the map bigger, the road is now a bit wide. It will probably be more of a path, really. So, so from here, it's actually, there's a little dip in the ground, so the Russians will have kind of the high ground, but on the other end there will also be like a German, and all this will be filled with kind of low-lying vegetation, shrubs and stuff like that. And then, yeah, you kind of go to a valley, and then the German positions are on this low-lying ridge here. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. It's gonna be really nice. Okay. Anyway, I think that is actually enough for today. We did make some progress on this. Got our Heightmap in, got our basic colors and textures in, and what we will do next time is add the it will be the first time that we actually do something in the Battlefield 2 editor. I know that might surprise some people who don't really have a lot of experience with how these things work. And what we will do then is add roads, and possibly also already the rough overgrowth, just so it's a bit easier to see where everything will be, because that's a really quick job. Or yeah, but roads is the big thing, and I already have some plans. And I also want to kind of, I just had an idea. Well, okay, we will see. But yeah, some basic terrain editing coming up next time. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching and have a nice day.